Welcome back. It's 19 minutes to 12. You're watching Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Well, I think this is incredibly sad news. I thought he was a terrific guy. The journalist and broadcaster Rod Liddle died yesterday at the age of 66, only 66, after a very short illness.
Yes, he was a former editor of the BBC Radio 4's Today programme. He went on to become one of Britain's best-known newspaper columnists, writing for the Sunday Times, The Sun, presenting on Times Radio and then latterly The Spectator. And
which is quite a gift to combine writing for three completely different audiences and to hold them captive each week, which is quite a gift to do.
He was very gifted.
Let's speak to Claire Fox, Baroness Claire Fox. She's a member of the House of Lords who knew Rod Liddle rather well. Claire, we're all of us taken aback that we've lost him so young. But why do you think he spoke with such conviction to so many people? As I say, he managed to keep a big audience in the Sunday Times, completely different audience in the Spectator, and an entirely different audience again in the Sun newspaper.
I think that he was beholden to no one. I mean, I can't believe that I'm even here talking about this real tragedy, because Rod was such a life force that I can't believe he's not with us, you know, and it's such a shock. But he had this sort of sense of irreverence. I love the fact, and of course I would, that he saw himself very much on the left. He was a social democrat. He wasn't somebody who was easy to pigeonhole, despite the fact that people have tried. Because what he always did was he was just curious and persistent in asking awkward questions of everyone and anyone, beholden to no one. And I think that from the point of view of readers, and also from the point of view of listeners to his radio programme, which I was often on, they recognised in him somebody who was prepared to speak on their behalf in terms of pushing and saying things that, and probing about things that were just considered to be verboten in today's world. And he was fearless in not caring whether that made him unpopular or not.
And one of the reasons he was able to get away with saying such shocking things was his humour. His columns were laugh out loud funny, and I think Tim Shipman was writing in The Spectator yesterday that he always avoided reading Rod Liddle's column while eating his lunch because he would be liable to spit out his sandwich. I mean, he just had this incredible wit, didn't he, that warmed you to whatever he was saying, even if it was deeply shocking.
He was hilarious. That's the truth of the matter, in a shocking way, in that way that, you know, the great satirists are, you know, where you go, oh, my God, he can't have said that, but you're laughing at the same time because you know that he's kind of hit some nail on the head in a way that you kind of, you know, almost think, oh, my God, I can't believe he did that. But, you know, on all these kind of very big issues, you know, the whole controversy around biological sex versus transgender ideology, for example, he was ruthless in dismantling that, in taking it apart. On very serious issues, like October the 7th, the fact that the left, his erstwhile allies and tribe, were prepared to wave Hamas flags. He just couldn't believe it, and he therefore was merciless. But there was something also very humane about him. I mean, he understood why women cared about the sex-gender question, because he understood something about women's rights. He actually got under the skin of what Brexit was about long before we even voted for Brexit. He could see that the impertinence of the EU dictating laws to ordinary people in this country who had no right to, argue against or vote back against those laws was something that was an outrage. And so he was, in that sense, a real anti-establishment figure. His love for the Social Democratic Party, a very small party, run by William Houston, but with a very kind of admirable, soulful tribe of people who are passionate about it, even if it's very small. The reason why it was interesting that Rod was prepared to be associated with that was, in some ways, it was a bit of a no-hope campaign, right? And, you know, you could say, well, why was he hanging around with them? He was never going to get... He actually stood in an election for them, didn't stand a chance. But he believed passionately things. And in that sense, you know, it's just such a rarity. He didn't pretend to be a neutral voice, but he was actually genuinely fair.
Yes.
And the other thing is that, and everybody has said this since he's done, I would say everybody, there's this horrible tribe of trolls on social media who are not saying it, but the vast majority of people brilliantly are saying he was kind. You know, he loved his family. He loved people. he was interested in the football fans that he went to matches with, even the opponents of his beloved Millwall. He had great insight into. He just was a people's person. And in that sense, I just think it was a rarity that he was fair to people, but ruthless in lampooning the outrageous, the dangerous ideology that has taken over much of society, but never in a way that you felt that you didn't get, everybody got a fair shot of understanding what he meant.
Yeah. Claire Fox, a wonderful tribute.
Yeah, it
Thank
really
you
is.
so much.
Yeah, I mean, he was the antithesis of woke, wasn't he?
He was. Our paths did cross a few times, Andrew, and I was just looking back at WhatsApp messages with him last night, and I was once speaking at a dinner, and the topic was my fantasy manifesto. You know, what policies would I implement? And I wanted a bit of humour, so I texted him and said, you know, if you were making this speech, what would you say? What would be your fantasy policies? And so he said, the criminalisation of cats, a lycra tax on cyclists, doubled if they're wearing stupid goggles. Fines for anyone who uses the term lived experience, doubled if they also use the terms exclusionary or allyship. Fly tippers to be made to eat whatever they have deposited. BBC staff to go on diversity awareness courses to learn about people who aren't middle-class graduates. That was just classic.
I know.
Straight-up reply.
Typical. And that'd have been come off his pen within seconds.
Exactly. And I did credit him, of course, but I got lots of laughs for that, and it set me up very nicely. So rest in